The moment he opened his mouth, the entire room felt like it tilted. You could almost hear the air shift. Because what he said next didn't just call out hypocrisy. It exposed the entire foundation of a political game that's been dragging victims through the mud for decades. And once the truth came out, there was no putting it back. Republicans kept repeating the same question over and over, almost like it was rehearsed. Why didn't Democrats demand Epstein transparency earlier? It was their shield, their talking point, their way of dodging responsibility. But then Eric Swalwell stepped up, and within seconds, he flipped their argument inside out. He didn't just answer the question. He dismantled the logic behind it so completely that several members in the room visibly froze. Because what he exposed was simple, devastating, and impossible to spin.
Epstein was not prosecuted. Put aside what Mr. Raskin and Mr. Cummings did. Let's just take you at your word that Democrats said nothing. Is that a reason for you to do nothing? I don't understand the logic here that because you think the Democrats did nothing on the Epstein files in the Biden administration, that to own the libs, you now have license to leave sexual assault victims unprotected. It's just crazy that you hate the Democrats so much that you would let the most notorious child sex trafficker and the people connected to him not be held accountable because you want to own the libs. Let's just take you at your word. Okay, the Democrats did nothing. So you're going to do nothing is what you were telling me. The Democrats, of course, did not do nothing. But let me boil it down to a lesson that I have right in front of me every morning when a 6-year-old wakes me up around 5:45 and wants to watch the same movie over and over and over. That's Frozen. And there's a lesson in this film where Elsa is told by one of the trolls in the movie that if you can't see the future, all you can do is the next right thing. And having seen this, again, 100 times in the last couple years, my takeaway is if you don't know what's going to happen next and you can't change the past, all you can do is the next right thing. So even if you are right that the Democrats did nothing in the past, wouldn't the next right thing be to sign the discharge petition? Or are you so obsessed with just scoring political points that you would punish sexual assault victims? Is that who you are? I don't think that's who you are. When I listen to some of the legislation you propose on your side, I do believe sincerely you care about victims. And if that's who you are and you care about victims, sign the damn discharge petition. Okay, you can own us. I don't care. You can own us 1,000 times. If it gets us to 218 signatures, I will let you have whatever victory you think you're accomplishing. But it seems to me that you're more interested in telling me not to believe my own eyes, which is what the president is doing. The president is telling us not to believe our own eyes. And it's not just on the Epstein files and the birthday card. And by the way, guys, we can bring in a handwriting expert, but I have 2 eyes. And I know what that man's obnoxious signature looks like. And so do you. But Donald Trump has told us that he would end all wars on day one, that prices would plummet and jobs would soar. And where are we? Ukraine has never been weaker. We've never seen more jobs lost in America since Donald Trump was last president. Even conservatives are complaining about how expensive grocery prices are. And even his own health, he's trying to tell us not to believe our own eyes. Joe Biden looks like an Olympic athlete compared to a man who is hiding his illness. Donald Trump is a broken man who has broke his promises. And if we don't start checking him, we are going to be a broken country. So my friends, if you sincerely believe that Democrats dropped the ball and did not do enough under the Biden administration, then join us now in doing the next right thing and sign the discharge petition. Otherwise, you're telling sexual assault victims This is just about scoring political points, and they come last. I yield back.
Will the gentleman yield?
Yes, I yield to the ranking member.
Well, I did, just to add to your very eloquent statement there, it seems like these days every accusation is a confession. So the accusation is the Democrats have somehow changed their...
Even if, for the sake of argument, Democrats had done nothing back then, does their silence somehow excuse the silence happening right now? Does ignoring victims in the past magically justify ignoring them in the present? It was a question that cut through the noise like a blade, because it forced everyone to confront the real issue. This wasn't about history. This wasn't about scoring points. This was about whether Congress today was willing to take responsibility or whether they were going to hide behind excuses. And the way Swalwell framed it made the answer painfully obvious. He reminded everyone that years ago, he himself demanded accountability when Epstein was still alive and powerful, calling for the resignation of people tied to the case. Other Democrats pushed, too, publicly, loudly, persistently. But instead of arguing about the details or defending timelines, Swalwell took a different approach. He said, "Let's pretend you're right. Let's pretend Democrats did absolutely nothing. Does that give you the right to do nothing now?" It was a rhetorical earthquake, because suddenly the talking point fell apart. Suddenly the excuses evaporated. Suddenly the debate wasn't about Democrats at all. It was about why Republicans were refusing to sign the discharge petition that would actually force the Epstein files into the light. But the moment that truly changed the energy in the room came from somewhere no one expected. A children's movie. Swalwell talked about his 6-year-old, waking him up at 5:45 a.m. every morning wanting to watch the same film again and again, Frozen. It sounded lighthearted at first, maybe even strange in the middle of a fiery hearing. But then came the line that landed with surprising weight. If you can't see the future, all you can do is the next right thing. And suddenly, the entire debate made sense, because that's where America is right now. We can't undo Epstein's crimes. We can't erase the complicity of those who protected him, enabled him, or silenced his victims. We can't change decades of failures from law enforcement, prosecutors, or politicians. But what we can do, what we have complete control over, is choosing the next right thing in front of us. And that next right thing is simple. Sign the petition and release the files. There's no spin. There's no partisan trick. There's no complicated legal loophole. It's just a matter of deciding whether victims deserve answers. Yet instead of stepping up, Republicans kept insisting they were justified in doing nothing because they claimed Democrats did nothing years ago. Think about that logic. You didn't act, so now we won't act either. That's not governance. That's not leadership. That's not protecting victims. That's petty grievance politics dressed up as principle. It's the political equivalent of a kid saying, "He didn't clean his room, so I won't clean mine." And Swalwell called it what it was. Absurd. He told them they could own the libs 1,000 times if it meant the truth would finally come out. He didn't care about the political win. He didn't care about the optics. He cared about the victims whose lives were destroyed and whose stories were buried under decades of wealth, influence, and connections. If Republicans truly cared about those victims, he said, then prove it. Sign the petition. Do the one thing that actually matters. But that's when the debate took a turn, because Swalwell didn't just talk about the petition. He didn't just talk about victims. He widened the lens to show the broader pattern, a pattern where certain political figures keep telling Americans not to believe their own eyes. He brought up the denial machine that has become almost predictable, where even obvious truths get twisted until people start questioning their own senses. He talked about that now infamous signature on a card. He said plainly, "I have 2 eyes, and I know what that obnoxious signature looks like. And so do you." It was a direct shot at the idea that reality itself could be bent by political loyalty, that facts could be erased by insisting they don't exist, that evidence could be dismissed just because it's inconvenient. And he connected that denial to a larger pattern of broken promises, promises about ending wars, lowering prices, creating jobs. He described how these boasts never matched the outcomes, yet millions were still told to ignore the results and trust a fantasy instead. That isn't leadership. That's illusion. And illusions are dangerous when they replace truth. That's where his warning came in. Because a country that refuses to confront truth becomes a country that can't defend itself. A society that allows powerful men to operate in the shadows becomes a society where justice becomes optional. A nation that abandons its moral compass doesn't drift, it collapses. That's why he called this moment a crossroads. Not for one party, not for one administration, but for the entire country. Either Congress chooses transparency now, or it chooses complicity. Either lawmakers protect survivors, or they protect themselves. Either they sign the petition and let the facts come out, or they bury the truth again while claiming they had no choice. But there was one more moment that sealed the point. When Swalwell finished, the ranking member spoke up and said, "These days, every accusation is a confession." It was a chilling line, not because it was cynical, but because it rang true. If you accuse someone else of silence, maybe you're trying to cover up your own. If you blame another party for inaction, maybe you're trying to justify your refusal to act now. If you insist the past excuses the present, maybe the real motive isn't justice at all. And that's what makes this hearing so important. Because at its core, this isn't about partisan drama. This isn't about who wins the debate. This isn't about scoring viral clips or crafting clever talking points. This is about children who were harmed. This is about survivors who were ignored. This is about wealthy, connected individuals who enjoyed protection while their victims suffered alone. And now, Congress has a chance, maybe the last chance, to do something real, something meaningful, something that could finally bring answers to families who have waited far too long. The question is whether they'll take that chance, or whether they'll hide behind excuses and hope the public forgets that it's easy to pretend this is just another political fight. It's easy to pretend that transparency doesn't matter. It's easy to pretend the past justifies the present. But the truth is simpler. The next right thing is right in front of them. The petition is right there. The signatures are what matter. Nothing else. And here's the part that most people won't admit. Whether those files are released or not will define how history remembers this Congress. Not their speeches, not their defenses, not their blame games, their actions or their refusal to act. Because at some point, every nation has to decide whether justice is a principle or a performance. And right now, the world is watching that. If you believe victims deserve answers, if you believe transparency matters more than tribal politics, if you believe accountability shouldn't depend on which party benefits, then this is the moment to demand it. Call your representatives. Speak up. Push for it. Because the next right thing doesn't happen on its own. Someone has to insist on it. And if you want more breakdowns like this, covering the moments the mainstream ignores, exposing the stories buried behind political noise, make sure to hit subscribe, tap like, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. More truth is coming. Stay ready.